Alright, today we're having a look at Honey Drop Tree by MikutheAngel. Alright, so here we are in Honey Drop Tree by MikutheAngel, and the level select page said that this is a first go at doing a platformer, and it's always nice to see creators trying something new and playing new levels. This one was done 2 days ago as of recording, which is today's the 27th of September. So this is fresh. I like little secret stuff like that. I really like the look of the level so far. It does have, you've got these bits where it's kind of stuff in the way, but I appreciate at least that most of it seems like it's semi-transparent, so you're not losing yourself in the action. Or in the foreground, I guess is probably the better way to put that. So that is appreciated. Got another secret back there. Secrets aren't too hard to find, but, well, at least the secrets haven't been too hard to find so far. Perhaps there's some that I missed, that is possible. It'll take a couple of extra plays to figure that one out. But I don't mind that at all. I mean, I don't think that... Okay, I mean, it didn't kill us to not know that we needed to grab, but maybe something that would have indicated that grabbing was going to be a thing to come up would be a nice idea. I do like little hidden away things, and they don't always have to be super tucked away, super hard to find. That can be fun, but having a couple that are like you can actually find right off the jump to indicate to the player that there are going to be hidden things in the level that they might want to take a look for is not a bad idea at all. Interesting use of the layer there. Not a bad one, just an interesting one, a little bit odd. Not a lot of challenge as far as the gameplay. Is this monkey bars? I bet it is. It is monkey bars. I'm not gonna throw shade on it necessarily because it is a means of traversal, but I've never been, as long-time followers of the series will know, I've never really been a particular fan of monkey bars, and certainly when they're quite as long as this. Oh, fudge! And that's part of the reason why, because we're just gonna have to do all of that over again. I don't know, like, I feel like something could be done with this section, like maybe having something coming up out of the honey to make a bit of a challenge for the player and to force them to stop for a little bit. Because as it is, you're just kind of doing the monkey bars for a while. Oh, fudge! Oh, fudge! That's our timer. I don't want to die. Okay, we're gonna have to talk about this back at the hub. We'll see you there. See yas! And we're back, and Honey Drop Tree by MikutheAngel, and I'd say it's softer, but it's definitely a yellow square. It's a really nice first time effort from Miku, and I had myself a really good time with it. Now there are definitely some things that we're going to talk about, one of which we're going to get a little bit more depth in the test bed. So let's focus on the more positive things first. And one thing that I really liked about this level is that there is a built-up environment here. It's a coherent environment in the material choices, in the decoration choices, the way that Miku has made the secret prize bubbles being little like bumblebee type things. I thought those were all really great. They fit together really well. Now there are a few issues in presentation with cameras I noticed, where sometimes if you get a little bit too close to the edge of things and the camera will actually show you kind of the dead space around the level, and that could be fixed up a little bit by just pulling the camera zone a little bit more, having it track the player a little bit less, and so it keeps a tighter view on the field. But as far as just pure presentation, that was really the biggest point. Now something else that I really liked is that there is a fairly decent amount of variety in the gameplay. As far as simple gameplay goes, you've got your running, you've got your jumping, there's a little bit of swinging around, you got layer launchers going. We're going to talk about those layer launchers as well in a second, but you do have some layer launchers going on in there. There's verticality in the level. You get launched up and you got to grab onto something, and then you got to do a little bit of a climbing section over while you've got electrified honey bits that are dropping down on top of you. So you've got like a nice mix that keeps the level moving pretty well for the most part, and I appreciated that as well. A lot of times we do see in first-time efforts that the gameplay tends to be very, very simple, and there's not very much variety in it. So to see Miku trying out a couple of different things and seeing what works and maybe what doesn't, I really appreciated that. I thought that it was really well done. Now, as I did say, that there are some issues here. There are some things that are bringing it down a bit, almost getting it into green, into orange triangle territory, orange diamond territory. But one of which I did notice was there's a number of breaks in the level where you can just kind of drop right out of the level, and some of them I don't think were entirely intended. You've got a bit at the very beginning where you've got a little, like a honeycomb bit that's thin layer, and if you go behind it, there's just a hole there, and it just drops you out of the level, and you can see some of the stuff that Miku's left behind from create mode down on the bottom there. So I don't think that was intended either to have that hole closed off or just have a kill zone there. I don't know why you'd want to kill the player there, but that is something that you could do. Towards the end of the level as well, you can walk right off the edge. There's nothing blocking you from doing that, and it'll drop you right out of the level as well. Probably not intended, although I think that most players would just shoot for the scoreboard and probably not futz about there in that area and get themselves killed, but maybe closing that area off to the player. It's a little tough because there's a secret there that I think Miku wants us to get, so you can't completely close the area down to access to the player. I did really appreciate those secrets being in the level. I always love seeing a couple secrets in levels. I think that's really neat. Now, one of those drop points, though, I do think that needs a little bit more discussion, and that is with the air control layer launcher. We see about midway through the level, you've got to get onto a platform that's like 3 layers back, and then you're going to bounce off of that onto a platform that's 3 layers forward. Now, you could see the platform in the background, although it's not immediately obvious that you can actually control your movement, because not all layer launchers allow air control for the players. It's actually set in the layer launcher itself. So the players might not even notice that they're supposed to be aiming for that back island, but then coming forward to the front island, and you can't actually see where you're supposed to be going. So it's really easy to just get yourself thrown into a wall because you're not sure quite how far over that you need to move. Now, with layer launchers, personally speaking, I don't think that there's really a lot of utility in allowing player to have control over their arc as they're flying, unless there's something specific there that you want them to be dodging for gameplay. Like you want them to weave around a spiked section, or there's something shooting at the players, some kind of hazard there, that the players will see the hazard and know that they're supposed to go around it. But if there's not really anything there, if there's not anything that they're trying to avoid, I think it's better just to turn the air control down to 0 and set the arc so it puts the player exactly where you want them to be, so that they've got a nice smooth bounce back and forth, and it's a little bit more exciting, I think, for the players. It's a little neater to kind of see. But that was one issue that I did find with the level, with the gameplay of the level. Now, there was another issue that we kind of ran into, and it's a little bit of kind of communication with the player. Now, I did mention that there are some swingy bits that you get going on earlier in the level, and then later on you come across a very large platform that's made of the same material. Now, because the players have already seen that material, they're probably going to be thinking, oh, well, I'm supposed to engage in it and grabbing, and we know that monkey bars are a thing, so like I did, just immediately grabbed onto it and tried to do the monkey bars over. You can actually get on some books and get right on top of that material. And I want to go into that issue a little bit more in depth. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into tutorial mode now. We're going to talk about what went wrong in that section and some ways that Miku or other players who are using a similar technique might be able to correct this in the future. But let's head over there and we'll see you there. See yas! Alright, so here we are in testbed 6 and just made a little mock-up of the area that we were just talking about. So we've got our platform, we've got the books that are supposed to be showing us that we're going to get up on top. But the first thing that we notice here is that the game camera, it emphasizes this empty space underneath the platform, and since we've already seen this material on swingable material, the first thought that's going to be in a player's mind, if they're not already up on these books and papers, is that this is going to be a monkey bars section, because monkey bars are something that is definitely done, overdone, I would say, a little bit. So, and as we saw when we played through in the first impression section, that's exactly what I did. I ran here, saw that the bottom was emphasized, saw that it was a grabbable material, and said, hey, that's monkey bars, let's monkey bar it. When in fact what you're supposed to do is come up here and just jump across. And it's a real easy straight shot in that section. There's nothing that's really going to harm you. So now, how can we get players to engage with this section the way that Miku intends us to? And now the easiest way to do that is just simply not make this into a grabbable material. Just change it into something else. Players are going to see that that's not something that they can grab. They're going to look for another way to get up on top of it, which is exactly what Miku wants us to be doing. Now, but maybe we want that material for the aesthetic of the material. Maybe that's what we're looking for. So what else can we do so that we can keep this platform the way that it is and get players to go on top instead of on bottom? And one way would simply be to make sure they have to get up on top of those papers. So we make the platform thinner, we move the books and the papers so that they block things off. Now the player's natural direction is going to take them right up on top of here, which will take them naturally up on top of the platform. So that's another thing that we can do. Another way is making the platform attractive. Now in this section, there's nothing really that's going to get the players to want to go on top of the platform. There's nothing there that's attractive for them except for just the traversal of getting to point A to point B. So if we want to emphasize that they ought to be up here, we can attract them with score bubbles. And using score bubbles as a way of pathing for players to say, hey, this is where you want to be, is a really common technique. We'll see it in these story mode levels quite often. And I jumped right off because the score bubbles don't pop in in tutorial mode, or in in create mode. But that's another way that we can get the players to be up here and not down there. But I was thinking about this as I was kind of putting together my notes for the outro section here, and since we've got this grabbable platform, and since monkey bars are a thing, why don't we do something with that? And so I made up a secondary mock-up here, and what we've got, same as before, but now we've got a choice for the player. They can take the easier route of traversal. Up on top, they get no reward for it, but there's also no danger to the player. Or, by putting these score bubbles down on the bottom, and putting a bit of a hazard here, now we've given the player this choice. They can take the more difficult route, which requires a little bit more skill because they're going to be doing a longer monkey bar section with a hazard in the middle of it, but if they set it up right, if they get their timing right, they can get a score chain of 10 bubbles. Now, this would need to be worked around a little bit, and Miku's section is, in fact, much longer. I would say, personally, for a monkey bar section, is really too long, but I don't really like monkey bars that much, but if we were going to keep the layout the way it is in Miku's level, then we would want to add more score bubbles and probably one or two more, because I think it actually goes out probably this far. So probably one or two more hazards to break things up. And again, so giving players alternate routes in the level with different risks and different rewards for those routes can make it a little bit more replayable, can add a little bit more challenge to players that are looking for a little bit more challenge, because this level in particular, it's a nice chill level, but it's not a level that's really going to be making you sweat very much. It's not a level that's really going to be challenging. So if you're looking for a little bit of extra challenge the way it's set up now, maybe not so much, but doing something like this might give those players something to engage with as well. Now, I'm not going to go back to the hub because I would have to fix the clock, and I really don't want to do that. So, one thing that I forgot to mention, but I did want to mention, because of server shenanigans and things not loading right, I didn't get to show off that Miku does actually have a level badge for this level, and a planet that looks really, really nice. So I'm going to show that here, just so that it gets the love that it deserves, because I didn't get a chance to show that off in the actual introduction section. Now, I do hope that everybody gives this level a play. As I said earlier on, it's a really nice, solid first effort, and it shows a lot of promise, I think, from Miku as a creator, if they can continue on this trajectory and improve their level design skills and their gameplay design skills. I think that, you know, we could have a really good creator on our hands. Miku, thank you so much for the effort in putting together this level for the community. I really, really appreciate it. I really look forward to what you're doing in the future, and I hope that this all wasn't too much. I know that I talked a lot and we had this tutorial mode section, but you did ask for feedback, and I wanted to give you the best feedback that I could. But I really do think I have talked way too much, so let's cut things off here. From me, Risco, here in Tokyo, to all of you out there, wherever you may happen to be, thank you, arigato, sayonara, see you, and ciao.